What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another week of picks here from every day we're covering. And we are into week 6 here of the college football season. Try to deliver you some good picks here to put some green in your pocket here for this college football weekend. SJ, we've been on a good run. Another good week last week. We're hoping to roll that right along here, keep this train rolling down the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, not by design, but we just kind of been hitting 4 every week, or
Yeah.
going for 4 picks, and we that elusive. We're getting like 3 out of 4. That elusive foursome is escaping us. So we're gonna try to hit it this week, or that's gonna be the goal at least. And then maybe when we hit 4, we'll just go to 5. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe Arn Anderson will come through. We'll get that four horsemen going
There
here
you go.
this week. We're going to get right into it here. We've got plenty of games, I think, to take a look at here this week as far as picks. I don't know about you, SJ, but I was going through kind of making my list. I had quite a few more that I've got here that I just didn't go with, but here for the video, but should have some good ones, I think. One of them that I'm going to start with here, and this is a game I think we're both taking a look at as well. Texas Tech is on the road to Houston. Houston coming off of that weird game last week on Friday against Oregon State where they had to pull it off in, weird fashion there at the end. Texas Tech's been playing pretty good ball. Got that great win on the road at Utah there a couple weeks ago. Looking very impressive. They're laying 11.5. And I think that's kind of where we're both looking here. I mean, I just think Tech is the better team by a long shot, especially that, you hate to put a lot of stock into one game, but the way that Houston struggled against that Oregon State team has me really concerned with where they can go because that's an Oregon State team that's really, really struggled against good teams so far this year. And I think Tech's a pretty decent one. So I think that offense gets cooking, especially pulling away in the second half. I see the Red Raiders blowing this open.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I mean, you look at the records; they're both 4-0, but very, very, very different 4-0s. I mean, you look at Houston beating the likes of Stephen F. Austin, Rice, Colorado. I guess decently, dominant win if you want, won fairly handily. But then you mentioned last week where they struggled against a winless Oregon State outfit and had to go to overtime to get that done. Tech's showing a lot more, even outside of that Utah matchup. And of course, we know the roster is just loaded. So yeah, we're both gonna hammer that one pretty good there. I think that's I know crazy things happens, but I just can't see it hanging in there more closer than that spread. Maybe they stay within 14, but that's best case scenario in my mind.
Yeah, just it doesn't seem like a game that sets up to be, a trick, I guess, so to speak. It looks pretty cut and dry, I think, to us, and I think that's a good play to go with this weekend is one that you might be a little heavy on. Next one I'm going to go to is Ohio State, another team that's looked very dominant here early in the season. I saw some other guys talking about them earlier in the week, and I like the way that they put it. Is they've just kind of made it look boring so far. And that's a good sign for a good team. I don't think they've really put the foot on the full gas pedal yet. They haven't had to. Haven't really had to let the offense just kind of run loose. The defense has been so good. But here's a spot where they're going to play a team that I think is just well overmatched. They're taking on Minnesota. And this is at home at the Horseshoe as well. I think they're, put a couple extra style points up on the board. I guess we've been bit by them earlier in the year, not totally putting the foot on the gas, but I think this is one where they cover. It's a big number, but 23.5, I think they win by that, especially with the way that they might, like I said, try to put some style points up at the end of the game.
And I think you're in good shape when you're beating a previously unbeaten team at 18 points, and everyone just kind of like, no big deal, just kind of just another day. So that I guess that's probably as a positive, you can see it as that for Ohio State that is. And I'll stay in the Big Ten and kind of the same deal there with an overmatched team here. We got Michigan and Wisconsin facing off here. Michigan at home, and of course, before the season, a lot of people were kind of saying, Fickle was one of the first coaches that would be on a hot seat if there was one. And it's kind of playing out as such. I mean, they started off 2-0, but didn't really play anybody. The Alabama loss, you kind of saw that one coming, but to lose by Maryland at double digits. I know Maryland's improved, but if you want to kind of be progressing as a program and getting back in that, those winning type of ways. That's not the way you do it. So just there is a little bit bigger spread than I would like, though. 17.5 is about where I'm seeing it. So I could see that happening, but it's a little bit even with the conference game, Wisconsin's played teams tough in the past, so I'm not willing to jump on that. But I'll take the over 42.5 in that one. And in my mind, most of those points are going to come from Michigan. So even if it happens to be a 31-14 type of game or something like that, where it's maybe you cover a spread barely, that'd be 17. You get the hook would get you on that one, but something like that, and then we'll still cover that over. So I'll play the total just in case Wisconsin maybe. I mean, this if you're going to have a desperation play for them as far as how they're going to come out and look in a game. This would be your chance to maybe prove me wrong, because Michigan, I do think, having watched them, up close and personal the week before last, I think they are a lot better than maybe people kind of thought coming into the season. And I don't know if they're a playoff type team, but they're definitely much better than we anticipated, especially considering the season they had last year. They're better than that.
Yeah. Well, and definitely a team that can run the ball really well. We've seen that so far from them. And yeah, I think that's what helps here. I think you're right. There's plenty of explosive plays out there for this Michigan team, and that helps them put those points up on the board. Yeah, I see this one, racking up a little bit. And yeah, if you get Wisconsin a couple scores, give them credit for maybe scoring a couple times. Yeah, I think you get to that number pretty easy. That's an early one, by the way, 11 o'clock kickoff there on Fox. The other two that we mentioned already were a little bit later. They're both evening games. The Texas Tech Houston game's a 6 o'clock game on ESPN. Ohio State 6:30 on NBC through Peacock. So that's going on with those two contests. Another one that I'm going to go to here is Mississippi State. I'm going to go to the SEC. Mississippi State, they've looked way better, I think, than a lot of people expected them to be this year. They're competing. We're on the brink of a really big win last week there against Tennessee, but apparently that's given them not much love. They're going on the road to take on A&M, which I get has looked really good, and I think A&M's got a really solid offense, but you're given a Mississippi State team that's played tough and even won, I guess an impressive game to me earlier in the year against Arizona State. A lot of points. You're giving them 16.5, and I just feel like that's too much. This isn't an A&M team that really typically puts teams away, and they didn't do that last week against Auburn. It was a really low-scoring affair. So I think that Mississippi State can hang around and keep that close enough to cover. I mean, maybe lose by a couple scores, but you still got those 2.5 points to buffer you. So I'm going to go Mississippi State to cover there on the road.
I'll hang out in the SEC at least for one game here as well, and look at that Texas and Florida, the 2:30 p.m. kickoff here. And I mean, not a lot of explanation needed. The team's going in different directions. I know Florida made a run last year. I just don't think that's in the cards this year to them kind of rally the troops. That's almost like if you do that and then you don't kind of start from where you picked off or pick up where you left off the year before, it's not happening. So to me, that seems more of a fluke now than maybe something that they had, going for them that could be sustainable. Just Texas, I mean, outside the loss to Ohio State, they haven't looked that bad. Of course, quarterback plays left a little bit to be desired, but they're still putting up a decent amount of points and yards and offensive output. So that's why I like them to cover. And it's only 6.5. I don't think that's you ain't got to blow them out. I see them win by 14 points, 17 points, even 21 wouldn't be a stretch. So I just don't see how Florida competes with a Texas team that's still, in the top 10. And as things are shaking out, they might find themselves here in the top 5 here back up there pretty soon. Because, I know it's always all about timing, but that loss to Ohio State, that was competitive. They had chances to win it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's something I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about. It's it wasn't a great, pretty game, but that's still a really good team that they didn't lose to by that much. So, and in all the other stuff that's going on with Florida, I mean, I don't know how you have confidence them to do anything at this point. Lagway's obviously really struggled. Their offense just hasn't been able to do much at all. If they have done things, it's been to the benefit of the other team. So I think, that plays into Texas's favor a lot here. The only little caveat would be if it's like, you get that, just wheeling and dealing, don't care anymore style from Florida, if that's the case. But even then, it's going to take a lot to cover in that one. So I like that pick as well. I think that's a good one. By the way, that Mississippi State game, I didn't mention that. That's a 6:30 game as well. That's on SEC Network if you want to check that one out. The last game, I think we both got looks here at this one as well, but different plays. So we're going to go a couple different directions on this. Miami at Florida State. Number 3 versus number 18, 6:30 game on ABC. They're coming up on Saturday night. We mentioned in the podcast earlier, kind of lost its luster a little bit with Florida State's stumble last week on Friday night against Virginia, but still will be a fun game. I'm sure a great atmosphere. They'll get amped up for it. They've got the game day crew there, so they'll get all ready and fired up and ready to go. But should be an interesting contest. SJ, what are you leaning at here with this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've kind of had a marquee matchup, and we're looking at number 3 versus number 16. It could have been almost a top 10 fair there, if Florida State wouldn't stub their toe. But even still, I mean, I just think I would have been on the Miami side no matter what. I just think they're a much better team. They proved a lot more, and just the explosiveness that they have. They're able to score in more ways than the other team. And how you can't. I mean, I know it's one game, you don't want to live in the moment, and it's like just happened, but it's hard to get over that defensive performance. And just for me, like having a little bit of history with that defensive coordinator in particular, it's something I'm not willing to trust because I've seen it happen, recently to the team I follow. So I just can't have any faith in that defense, especially going up against such a high-powered offense. So I'm going to take that 4.5, and that's not even I'm surprised as that to me that seems low. Like I would have, thought at least a touchdown, but I mean that's good, and that's good news. I'll take it. And of course, it's rivalry, so that affects the line as well too. But I just think Miami's too good. I hope it's close for viewing purposes and to keep interested, and of course for us with the play that I'm going to make. I definitely don't want to come down to a wide right thing because then either way I'm in bad shape because it'd be a fun game. But we know we've had some fun experiences with those in the past with these two teams getting together.
Yeah. I'm with you. When I looked at this too, that was my first inkling is like, how do you not just take Miami on that small of a line? I also was shocked it was only 4.5. But then as I got looking at it a little bit more, I guess, the old talk yourself out of it kind of thing, just the fact that it's at Florida State. I mean, the other way around, I mean, you hammer the thing. Miami kills them, but that's probably the only thing that gives me a slight tinge of hesitation is if they get the crowd fired up enough and they do something good early to, kind of get them into it, that could make a little bit of difference. But I'm going to go to the total here. And this isn't the popular pick, too. I've seen some other people kind of sniffing around thinking that this might go the other direction as far as not being as high scoring because they have faith in Miami's defense, not necessarily on the other side, which I don't disagree with. Miami's got a pretty good D, but these two teams know how to score, and I just feel like this is going to get there. It's a little bit higher than some others, but still not insurmountable. 54.5 is the number. And I think if it does go crazy, it's going to be Miami going crazy, scoring a bunch of points. And that I think, Florida State's going to score a couple times. I don't think they're going to get shut out. So I like what Miami's going to be able to do here offensively in this game. And that's where I'm going to go over on that total.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a good play as well. I think just for the simple fact that even if the Florida State wants to be competitive or be in this game, even within if they cover the number or don't, they're gonna have to score points. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Like even if you whatever you want to do, play well defensively, Miami's gonna score. So you got to keep pace, and they got good enough quarterback play to do so. Yeah. It's just a matter if they have mistakes and turnovers, that type of thing, have to be pretty much limited or non-existent on their end if they want to keep pace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the scoring that they've done so far this year. I mean, yeah, it's against much worse defenses. I get that, but still, I mean, even in the game they lost, they scored 30-some points. So, I think that this is going to be one of those shootout type affairs. So it could be a lot of fun. Yeah. Like you said, hopefully for viewing purposes, it stays interesting for a while. But I do see it probably going the way of the Hurricanes at some point during the night. That's our main plays here this week. SJ, any little bonus tidbits you want to throw out there here before we wrap this one up?
I mean, honestly, it's a pretty tough week, but I mean, I know my guys out there in BYU, I like to play them a lot. So I like West Virginia coming to town. I know it's a big number, 19.5, but West Virginia is kind of on the struggle bus to say the least. It's very tough. And then I guess just as a bounce back, I don't necessarily want to consider this like a pick, but just something to keep an eye on is that Kentucky-Georgia line is 20.5 for Georgia. I know they're a much better team, but That there's got to be a bit of a hangover with that loss, because I know it was a close game and they were in it against Alabama, but that's, I mean, it's easy to take your foot off the gas there when you kind of have that emotional letdown against, I mean, it's a hated rival. I don't think it's say it any other way. I don't think that's overstating the fact. So maybe those two, but just I mean, we talked about it in the pod. There's a lot of like name games that you'd be like, this usually would be a good game as far as UCLA and whatever. But I know Vandy and Alabama is probably going to be on a lot of people's line as well, just as the favorite upset kind of pick of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that one intrigues me a little bit just because I couldn't believe Vandy's getting 10.5. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like one game and we're going to crown Alabama back again. I don't think that's the case. The only thing that gives me hesitation on that is the revenge factor. I mean, Vandy pulled off the big win last year, so I think Bama's going to be gunning for them. But that one, that's the only reason I stayed away from that. The other one that caught my eye a little bit too, if it wasn't for the cross country travel, I would take that big number for Penn State. They're going to be pissed off after last week. UCLA is obviously not a good football team, and it's 24.5, which is a big number for Penn State. But yeah, I mean, normally, yeah, I'd say that might be a good play too there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got. I mean, even the fact of maybe not being a good team, you just got to have anything pride that you have. It's got to be on the line there. So you can. I mean, maybe you're just not good enough. That's one thing, but getting embarrassed. I mean, there's got to be something inside you that doesn't let that happen.
Yeah, one other little nugget I'll throw out there too. They let me down last week, but Kansas going to Central Florida. They're only laying 5.5. I think Central Florida is a giant fraud. I don't think they've done anything yet. I think Kansas is enough offense to win that one. So that was one I'd take a peek at too.
Well, yeah, and you look the way that Kansas State handled them, and they're obviously had their troubles within conference. So yeah, that seems like that's a pretty easy win there for Kansas. I'd be on that with you as well.
Yeah. All right. That's what we're looking at here this week. Hope you have some good plays as well. Make sure that you're following us along on Twitter. You see the handles there at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets. We put the picks up there for you, video and in graphic fashion, so you can see where our confidence level lies. If you have any interaction you want to throw at us here throughout the weekend, we'd love that. Give us your favorite plays of the weekend. And then we'd love it if you like, subscribe, share the podcast, all the major podcast platforms, and subscribe and get the notification on the YouTube channel where you'll find these picks coming at you each and every week here from us. All right, that's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another week of picks here from Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.